Hey, everybody, we're live again, and I want to thank everybody for joining me in the various broadcasts that we've had the last several days. And I want to introduce now former Oakland mayoral candidate. I can't say mayoral right. I can't say it. Like, it sounds so clumsy to say mayoral, but I'll say Oakland mayor's race candidate, uh, Monesha Carter, who is now a Zennie62 blogger, who's welcome. Thank you very much. Talking to us from her abode. Hey, so welcome.
Thank you, Zennie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the platform. I've watched so many of your videos, so I just love the work that you do. It has such integrity. So I'm happy to be a part of the operation.
Oh, I very much appreciate that. So we're going to take a few minutes to get to know you. And so tell us, you had some pictures here, right?
Yeah, I have a number of photographs that I wanted to share with our viewers just to kind of get them familiar with who I am from start to finish in no particular order, but it does kind of tell a story. So this is my great grandmother, Mamie Carter. The first.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Monesha. Go ahead.
Okay, no worries. The first photograph on the left is of her in the 1920s. And so she's very young, vibrant. She was from Kansas City, Missouri. And then the photo of her on the right is her at her 50th wedding anniversary to my grandfather, Joseph Carter, the first. And so she's just as happy and beautiful and vibrant there. So I just want to show, like, you know, that history in terms of my foundation and, you know, some of the pearls. I was able to know her, fortunately. She was around when I was very young, and so she influenced my life. This is me. Like I said, the photos are in no particular order. This is me at the Madeline K. Albright Pavilion in Aspen. Aspen is a place where they have retreats for various think kind of operations where they organize and talk about government, and government leaders come together and kind of gather. So one of the places that they have the events at, I don't know if you've heard of the Aspen Institute.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so this is where it's located. And so when I saw former Secretary of State and the late Madeline Albright represented on the building, I just had to take a photograph there. And it was just rarefied air, I would say.
Huh.
This is funny. So I wanted to get some laughs here. So I actually went to an event in DC where I was a +1. And I wore a similar dress as Hoda Kotb, and you know she's on this Today show, and I love her. I love her television personality. She's amazing. She just was on the cover of People magazine too, with her 2 children, and she's really happy. It's like a happy time in her life. So I included this photo here, and of course I have a little bit of style because I'm just like her. So.
Have you sent this to her?
I have. I tweeted it. So she did probably see it. You know, I tweeted it a while back. That's me on my birthday weekend in Vegas, a number of years back before the pandemic, and I had front row seats to the Cirque du Soleil.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so excited, and I think it was the day before or the day after my birthday. It wasn't exactly on my birthday, but it was just amazing. I saw all of the antics of the circus, like right above my head. It was actually really scary being front row. In the end, I probably wish I had a few seats back.
Plane.
That's my favorite travel photo. It's just flying over the ocean. I forget what ocean it was, whether it was part of the world, you know, Pacific or Atlantic, but I was flying over it, and I just thought it was a beautiful photo, so I would share just my love of travel, my thirst for adventure, and that's just a part of me. So
United Airlines.
That's probably Alaska.
Alaska, okay.
Yeah, that's me with Virginia Ali, the owner now of Ben's Chili Bowl in Washington, D.C. That is around the corner from my alma mater. And I used to go there all the time and get breakfast. That's the word. That's what I wanted to tell you guys when I showed you this photo. So the true patrons of this establishment know, go for breakfast. They have the best breakfast sandwiches ever.
At the Chili Bowl?
At the Chili Bowl, yes, yes. So when I went back during the visit, when I saw Virginia Ali, I told her, yeah, I used to come for breakfast when I was in college. She was like, yeah, so you're in the know. And I was like, I sure am.
Boy, that makes me hungry for chili.
Yes, you got to go there. Have you ever been, Zennie?
To the Chili Bowl? No, to DC many times. Yeah, I was there.
Yes, you got to go to the Chili Bowl.
I was there for the 2 Obama inaugurations. My first time there was when I was a close-up student in high school at Skyline.
Nice.
Yeah, that was 1979. And then I went another time for to visit the National Air and Space Museum, the Smithsonian.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mom trip. Mom took me that one. That was when I was a teenager. Yeah. And but I haven't been back since. I have a good friend, Christy Kaufman, who actually is the executive director of Code of Support there. So if you ever think about donating to the troops, donate to Code of Support, folks. That's her company.
Oh, nice.
And then I have another friend, Tika Thomas. I've got a bunch of friends in DC that I think about it. Oh, Robert Bob, of course. Robert Bob, who is the great city administrator for DC and also for Oakland, and my boss, and still talk to this day, is there. Promises to take me to a great barbecue place when I get there, whenever that is. So, and then of course, anyway, blah, 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 blah. Huh. Oh, this is nice. Is this Howard?
Yeah, that's Howard's commencement exercises in 2004. I actually finished up in December of 03, but I didn't walk until May 04. So that's my son. That's my son. He actually, I had him while I was in college, and he actually came to my commencement, and he was so amazed. He told me, "Mommy, I want to graduate from Howard University." He ended up going to a different school and graduating. He's actually on his 3rd degree right now, but we'll talk more about that when we get to his other picture. Okay. But he didn't go to Howard, but he was amazed. And so in the picture, you see my hand up by his collar. I'm actually pinning him with a ceremonial pin that was given to me by the university, like setting in stone that he was a part of that journey.
Oh.
Yeah. That's my grandfather, the son of my great-grandmother, who was photographed, the first photo that you saw. And that's my grandmother, Lillian, on the right. That's when they were very young, married couple living in California, raising 8 kids.
Wow.
8 kids.
So you look like your grandmother.
You think so?
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, thank you. That's a compliment. I loved her dearly. She was a very gracious and wise woman, and she really cared a lot about family. So she was just very important to me, and so was my grandfather. They raised 8 kids together and just never gave up on marriage.
Yeah.
That's the 2 of them again at my high school graduation. I shared this photo not necessarily because they're in it, though. I wanted to show Zennie that that's Pasadena High School. Pasadena, Zennie High School. And the medals that I have on, I was class president. So, and we're at the auditorium there in Pasadena. The name is escaping me, but we graduated from the auditorium where the Oscars are held.
Let me do one thing because it's one of these caregiver kind of maladies. I need to check something. One moment.
Okay, no worries. Take a moment.
Give me 32 seconds. Hold on a second.
Yes.
You okay? Oh, okay. Okay. And we're back. Okay, great.
Now. Okay. So yeah, I remember you teased me about Pasadena High School, so that's why I was like, oh, I'm gonna put that one in there for Zennie. This is a cute picture. I put this picture in here not just because me and my brother are in it, but because if you look in the background, you'll see an old 1970s van, because I was born in 78, so I'm telling my age here. And a truck, so it reminds me of like the Sanford and Son type van and trucks, you know, back then. And I have a popsicle in my hand, and my brother has some sort of ice cream, and we're on the lawn at my grandparents' house in Windsor Hills, California. And we're just loving it, having a good time. So yeah, that's a historic photo. That's just my favorite. Ambiance is just like a nice glass of wine and some seafood and some bread, and so I just wanted to show like something I like to do to just unwind.
Where's this at?
That's in Doral, Florida.
Doral,
which is outside of my.
Oh, okay. Doral, Florida.
Yeah.
Country club.
Yeah. It's at a restaurant. I forget the exact name of it though. It's at a restaurant out there.
Okay.
That's me in DC. I love this photo. I call it my Obama photo. If you Google Obama getting out of his motorcade, there's a famous photo where he's getting out like this, and you see him with his glasses on. You know that photo?
I do.
Okay, so I call this my Obama photo. So it was during the pandemic, and I went to DC for just a trip like I do. I pay homage every year to my alma mater, and I go and talk to a lot of my old contacts and network and do all of that. So I ordered Uber Black, and the driver took a photo of me, so I thought it was nice.
Oh.
This is me when I used to work at a cable news operation in DC at the Washington Bureau, and I'm covering Bush's second inauguration. And so I love the photo because it has the DC flag and the American flags in the background. You see the cameraman on the platform behind me, shooting for live television. You see 3 streets. You see Pennsylvania Avenue, and then I believe that's Constitution Ave.
Yep.
The intersection. Yeah. So I think that's amazing. That's just an amazing photo that I love, and it's a historic photo. So I wanted to share it. Just love it. It was a fun day. That's me in the newsroom of cable news operation that I worked for and when I went to the New York headquarters, and just was excited just to see what it was like in New York. That's one of the older newsrooms, one of the original newsrooms. You see the computers, the old big box computers, the old television monitors. I mean, everything's so old school. The background is more important than actually me in the photo. So
you were the boss here? Look at you like the boss.
No, I just, I know how to command a room when I need to. That's why I was running for mayor, Zennie. I'm cheesy. I was in my 20s back then. Oh, this is me. I shared this picture not just because Cory Booker, and we love Cory Booker, not just because he's in the photo, but because I wanted to share that I was on a campaign. I worked on as a volunteer for Hillary's first campaign for president. And so during the primaries, I was just around Oakland campaigning, organizing with other Oaklanders and people who were prominent in the community. And we went to Everett and Jones, which is like the barbecue restaurant that's famous in Oakland. And Cory Booker spoke there. And he was so funny. He has this reputation of grabbing the phone and taking the selfie himself because he likes to get the right camera angle. Such a television person. So yeah, he grabbed my phone and took the picture, so we had a laugh. That's me. I took this picture, as you can tell. That's me at the NBA Finals in this, I think it was 2016, I want to say, with MC Hammer. I saw him on the floor because I didn't have floor seats, but I had like fifth row. So that was like right off the floor. I went with my family, my son and my mom, and we just saw MC Hammer. And I was like, oh, Hammer! And he came up and greeted my son. My son wasn't impressed. You know, he's of a different generation. So, but I was excited to meet him, so we got a selfie. He represents Oakland well. That's an important event in my life. So I'm fortunate to have went to Howard University, and I got a great education there. I majored in political science with a minor in broadcast journalism. However, when I was in school, and I'm telling my age again, but when I was in school, Zennie, everything was analog. The internet was just developing. Nothing was really digital. So I needed like digital media skills to kind of come back into the business. And so I was doing like YouTube videos and wanted to like get some more skills and go into to work for another news organization. So after I got this certificate, I got back on in the business again and started working for Hoodline. And Hoodline kept me on through 3 mergers. And so they were just a very good employer. And so that was a good experience and a good opportunity for me to kind of change, reinvent myself when the wheel was reinvented without my control,
Yeah.
That's me of my first tour of City Hall as a reporter for Hoodline. I was outside of City Hall, and I think that was before I went in. I was excited, and I was meeting Annalee Allen.
I know her for decades. I've known her for decades.
Okay, so she gave me the official tour. She's not there anymore. I asked when I went into the clerk's office, was she there? Because I wanted to see her. So I went in and had the tour with Annalee Allen, got to tour all of City Hall. She told me all the history. I have tons and tons of photos, and she just was amazing. And so that was an amazing opportunity as a journalist. So
she has a great book about Oakland architecture too. I've known Annalee for, I would say since 1993.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. I just love her. This is me at one of the conventions for the National Association of Black Journalists. My membership just expired, and because I was running for mayor, I kind of let it expire. I was a member for a number of years, and it's a wonderful organization. I've met so many great people. To name a few, the person who's volunteered a lot for my campaign, Michelle Fitzhugh-Craig. She was just an amazing person that I've met. And then through that, I've met people like Fran Williams. She's in PR, and she's a member of NABJ. Those are my 2 best buddies out of NABJ. But there are a lot of people who are amazing and who are so dedicated to the business that you just would be amiss to not be a part of it. So I encourage, people to join. That's me with April. Yeah. That's me with April Ryan at the same convention.
I called her April Carter.
No, April Ryan. No, on the same night, she received the highest award that night. It's called, I forget the name of the award. It's a blur, but she received the highest award in journalism. She was battling a lot at that time. She was receiving death threats and all types of, she had to get private security for her coverage of the Trump administration. So she went through a lot, and I think she has 3 young daughters. So she was also raising them and working as a journalist full time for as a White House correspondent. So I'm just very proud of her. And it was an honor to meet her. She was very warm when I met her.
Yeah, I wish my mom could see this one. Anyway, she went.
That's Kevin Merida, and he's the executive editor now of the Los Angeles Times. The way that I know him, though, is that he was a columnist for the Washington Post when I worked there. And he was just so gracious to me then. So when I saw him at the convention, I was like, we got to get a photo. But that was before he was the executive editor of the Times. So since then, he's done a lot of big things. Also, Kevin Merida is also, I believe, I'm not sure if it's still the case, but at one point he was on the committee for the Pulitzer Prize. So, yes. That's an interesting photo. So I wanted to share this because I know I'm sharing a lot of high points, but this was like a sort of low point or challenging point for me. This is a photographic image of my fibroids that I had removed in May.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had fibroids, and I was told at first that I didn't have to have them removed. And so I didn't like talk about it, I didn't, bring it out, publicly to a lot of people that I'm close to. But once it became a problem, then I went back to my doctor and I said, I think I'm gonna have to have them removed because they're not going away naturally, which sometimes they do. So I had them removed and I'm better ever since and healthier for it. So I'm just so happy, but I just wanted to share that, for women who listen to this platform, if you have any, if you're over 40 or, in your late 30s, you should get that checked out and make sure you handle it as soon as possible for your health.
Right.
That's me at Howard University. I love this photo. I call this my action shot at school. And it's me, during one of my trips there, and I just think it's a beautiful photo. I think the camera angle, it looks like I have a professional photographer, even though I don't. It's just my iPhone. I attest to iPhones. They're like amazing. They can do a lot of amazing work. I just had taken this photo myself, so I'm the photographer and the subject. This is an important photo. So this photo is African American in Spokane is a book written by Geraldine Williamson, and she's my great aunt. So the grandmother that you saw in the picture, Lillian Carter, she's her sister, and she wrote the book. And so the whole book is about in 1899 exactly.
Oh, African Americans in Spokane, Washington?
Yes.
Huh.
My great aunt wrote the book. And so in 1899 exactly, some family from Virginia came to Roslyn, Washington State, to break a coal miners' strike. They didn't know at the time that they were breaking the coal miners' strike. They thought that they were just coming for job opportunities. But I guess white coal miners had went on strike, and they used, the other coal miners who were African American to break that strike. So after a while, everything petered out with coal mining, as you know, historically. And the family that moved to Roslyn moved to Spokane and settled there. And so there's a whole history behind that. They had all types of events and parties and church life and culture, and it was just a whole society there, and they had a great life. So I thought it was great to share that part of my history. That's my son, Bryce. He ended up going to Dickinson State University, and the conference is NSAA. He got Player of the Week many times over, actually. That's just one of the times. He had an interesting journey. He went to a JC, and then he had originally gotten into ASU, but decided not to go because he didn't have a basketball opportunity. Went to a JC, then transferred to a university in Washington State, Western Washington. They didn't let him play. He said, "Mom, I'm leaving." And I'm like, "Well, you go for it." And he went to Dickinson State University in North Dakota, and it was a smaller pond because it's not NCAA. And it was a smaller pond, and he got more opportunities and rose to the top. So he just did very well. He ended up getting a lot of awards and honors and graduating with his bachelor's degree. He also, while he was in JC, got his AA. So he has 2 degrees now, and he's working on his 3rd degree, his master's from Dickinson. He's doing it remotely. So That's amazing. I'm super proud of him. I was a single mom when I had him, so he's come a long way, and I'm just very, very proud of him.
Does he want to go to the NBA?
He wants to aspire to play overseas. Mm-hmm. So he's not really aspiring to go to the NBA, but he does want to play overseas. So he's looking into that as well. That's me at St. Mary's College. I'm currently pursuing my master's, and my son is also in a master's program, which is odd that we're both in a program, but I'm pursuing my credential and master's at St. Mary's. And I just took a picture there, so I thought it was amazing.
Well, actually, it's quite common today for parents and their offspring to be in school at the same time now.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not alone.
Yeah, that's my Howard University graduation picture. Yeah.
I just wish I was able to bless my mom with that kind of family, but well, there's still time. I guess there's still time. I don't know.
Yeah, it's never too late. It's never too late, Zennie. That's me in Oakland. And guess what lake? Not Lake Merritt. What's the other lake in Oakland, Zennie? I'm going to test your knowledge.
Test my knowledge or test my...
What's the other lake in Oakland? There's only two, I believe.
Well, it's Temescal. I don't really...
Temescal.
I don't consider that much of a lake. That lake, to me, it's more of a pond.
Yeah, well, you can still walk around it, though, and it's not... Well, you can't walk on the other side of it, though. There's another side where you can't walk, but...
I consider it was that place that people went to when they were really drunk.
Really? I wasn't drunk.
I'm not saying you were. I know,
but I had to say that as a disclaimer.
You asked. That just gives you a window on some of the kind of people that I knew at Skyline.
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, moving along. I know this picture.
Yeah, that's my announcement speech. So I just wanted to share that because, that was an important day for me when I announced. Mm-hmm. And so I was excited. There's a lot of good energy, and it was just an amazing day. And it happened to be my 44th birthday. I call that my Obama birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Because he was the 44th president. So
happy belated birthday.
Thank you. And that's me and my boyfriend at an A's game. Who did they play against? I don't even remember. I just know that they won. We were happy. We were like, yay, the A's won.
I like your message.
They had played against the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, I kind of like your matching hats.
Yeah, they gave those out for free.
You should put that on Twitter and attach it and tag Dave Cobble.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Tell him that you're vlogging with Zennie62Media now.
Oh, okay. I will. I'll do that. Yeah, so that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I wanted to share those photographs though, just so
he looks familiar. Does he live by the lake? He looks familiar.
No, he doesn't live in Oakland.
Oh, okay. I don't know why he looks familiar. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations for raising your son by yourself. I say that as the product of a single mom. So,
I didn't do it by myself. It took a village. It definitely took a village. All of my family was a part of raising my son because I was so young. I was 20 when I had him. So I was a freshman in college. So, and still pursued my studies and tried to push forward. And so I think when you're a single mom, I think a lot of single moms try to take credit and they don't realize that, okay, it may have been their friends or their family or their, whatever circumstance, whoever their village was, the school community, their church, help them too. And they just want to say, oh, I just did it. I'm a single mom, so.
No, my mom raised me by herself from the time I was 6.
Okay.
And she got a job with United and showed me a lot of things that I don't think I don't know why I'm saying I don't think I would not have seen if I had grown up any other way. And so it as I said to somebody with United Airlines some time ago, um, I should write a book on what basically it's like to grow up. I sort of United Airlines kid because my view of America is completely different for anybody, but particular for somebody who's who's Black. And as we got to do a lot of things, but also my mother taught me and has reminded me to this day where she's at. Mom? Yeah. Oh, she's in the great room. I think she's relaxing, but she taught me to not accept the back table at a restaurant if somebody assigns you can't see you. And ask for the best seat.
Yeah.
And I remember that followed me to my advantage on a number of occasions. For me personally, most particularly when I was covering the Oscars and the Night of One Star's Oscar party. And I got this middle table at but a strategically positioned front table at the Polo Lounge in Beverly Hills Hotel. And so we're having salad, and Ed had the position where my back was to the entrance, but you could see everything was okay. And he looked up, and his eyes went like this, and he said, "Charisse." Charisse Thorne, who played in a number of different films, including Monster, played the Charlize Theron. Yeah. She walked in all dressed in black. She's 6 feet, and so she walks in, she commands a room. I mean, just like, and so I had but the funny thing about the whole deal were his eyes. His eyes were two big saucers. And so she was there to meet Sean Penn, who happened to be sitting to our right.
Oh.
Taught me it was okay to really expect to be in places like that. And that wasn't the first time I was at the Polo Lounge. The first time I was there, I met a woman named Emilia Michelle, and she bought me dinner. And then had this really interesting wild-haired idea. This is when Steve Martin was hosting the Oscars along with it was a dual Oscar thing that they did. Billy Crystal? No, it wasn't Billy Crystal. Alec Baldwin. Yeah, Alec Baldwin. And so Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin walked into the room as we were there, and they were raising their Oscar for being hosts, and we were in the corner at the back, and I was doing everything I can to not have a lot to drink that night because I was quite literally just swept along for the ride. And she said, "You want to go to their party?" And I said, "What?" She said, "Do you want to go to their party?" And I said, "Sure." So next thing I know, we're headed downstairs, and by now I'm familiar with the place. So there's a coffee lounge downstairs you go to. We go down this stairway, and you immediately turn, hook turn, as I call it, to the right. You go through the door. And we walked to the door, and immediately to the right was Alec Baldwin sitting next to Ann Winter. Yes. Vogue.
Yeah, Anna Winter.
From Vogue.
Yes, the editor-in-chief.
And I thought, I swear to God, the first words I thought were, "Yeah, I belong here." And as I'm thinking that, so the security guard said, "Oh, well."
The movie about her, The Devil Wears Prada, is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
5 times.
Okay, so you know.
And so he sat us down, and like 35 seconds later, he said, "I'm sorry, you can't be here." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, I said, if it's an issue of money, here's my card, right?" So he says, "No, it's not that." He said, "It's just that they expected this to be private or something." And I said, "Not a problem." And Amelia just lost it. I mean, no, she threw an absolute fit. And so I had to do everything I can to just maintain my composure. I didn't look to the right to see what the reaction was. I was just thinking, okay, how do we get out? How do we get out of this clean? And so I said,
well, enter with grace, leave with class.
yeah. So I said, I want to talk to you outside. And she was just crying. I mean, just big crocodile tears. And I said, let's go outside and just ease on out, and I have something I want to share with you. She goes, what? And I said, I'll tell you outside. So that's how I got her outside. We went up the stairs. And as we're up the stairs, there's two chairs, at least there were two chairs at the top of the stairwell on the right. And we sat down in each one of them. And I was explaining about how it's important to realize, this again goes to what my mom taught me, that you're just as important as anyone else, but everyone puts their pants on the same way. The point is, that's their thing. It doesn't say anything bad about us. That was their thing. I didn't know, you didn't know. It was fun to be there. And as I'm explaining this to her and saying that, I hear this, bum, 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 bum. And it sounded like Baldwin. And he turns over and he goes, "Hey, nice to meet you." So, but then he's running. And I'm thinking, why is he running? And before I could say, "Hey," Hillary Swank comes out dressed in a bathrobe.
Oh, wow. This is an interesting night.
I have interesting nights. And so she's dressed. She goes, "Hey, have you all seen?" And we just pointed that way. I have, to this day, no idea what that was about.
Yeah. Wow.
But I think what I learned is just how to feel like there's no door that should be closed to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned from my mother. So
that's a great lesson. Great lesson.
Yeah, I think so. But so anyway, hey, welcome aboard. And as we close our introduction, let's talk about post-mayor's race. What did you learn? I asked you about that before in the other videos we did that. But what do you think about the way the city's handled the race? And do you think that who do you favor? Who's your favorite? Because I'm not Ignacio De La Fuente, but that doesn't mean that anyone other vlogger has to follow my lead. Everybody has their thing. So.
I have thoughts about other candidates, but I prefer to reserve those thoughts until everything is closed out. I know that my friend Derek was so adamant about what happened with the signatures and the calls by the clerk's office and the whole debacle with that. So I'm kind of waiting for that to be closed out. Like, there needs to be some kind of messaging around that. Have you heard from Alyssa Victory around that? Have you heard any updates or like what's happening with that?
What I've heard is, and I'll post it, the city of Oakland did release its I guess you could call it final list.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'm going to share that because I'm going to do a separate video on it. But
yeah, go ahead and share that. And I know I'm not on it. I saw it and I said, well, the whole thing about it with me is like, my campaign was saying people who are my volunteers are suggesting that I do like a write-in or and still participate in debates in case that write-in is successful in any way. So it's not totally over. but it's just a chapter has closed. You know, we know that I'm not going to be on the ballot. So with your not being on the ballot, you're not as viable as a candidate. We know that that's the facts. That's just facts, right? So it's a reality you have to face. You can't kind of.
I have a 42-year history with this thing. Is that right? 42 years? Yeah, 42 years. I have a 42-year. Let me think about that. Yeah, 42-year history of politics in Oakland. Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
It tells me that you should strive to get your names, in there and not be a write-in, because Oakland is never. Oakland is a very, all of its pretenses to the contrary, is really very provincial, and as is most of the East Bay, and it of an infrastructure. Now, I think it's more important this time to have your name in, because I personally don't think any of the council members have any. It's just I can't see how anyone did it. They're right in this context. So, hey, they think they can do it. So I think now the best thing to do, the most effective thing to do, especially given that it's ranked choice voting, is to really get behind somebody that's running. There's no shame in helping somebody else, right? And there's every to joining forces. I say that how do I say this? There is a lot of, this is the list, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of ego play. Everybody wants to be the one, but I haven't seen a lot of great arguments. And but here's the list of people who have qualified right now as of Friday. And I'll go down the list. There's Ignacio De La Fuente, Greg Hodge, Tyron Jordan, Peter Liu, Treva Reed, John Riemann, Seneca Scott, Lauren Taylor, and Shang Tao. Whittling down. We had 18 candidates. So this is the most number of candidates. Excuse me. This is the least number of candidates named after whittled down in quite some time. In 2014, when Libby ran, we had 16 candidates. And after the whittling down, we had 17 candidates. After the whittling down, we were left with 14 candidates. So here we have 11. And you can already see how the position is changed.
Well, it looks like we have 9. Is that 9?
Well, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. I stand correct. 9. I don't know where I got 11 from. 9.
So basically, it decreased by half.
Yeah, it decreased by half. It's 9 candidates, but of the 9 candidates, you have 3 that are council members, and 1 a former council member. That's Ignacio. And so you have almost half the field, either council members or former council members. And I don't feel that this is nothing personal against any one of them, but the city is at an unprecedentedly bad level of condition, such that no one who is holding elected office now in Oakland should run for any office except for re-election so they can finish their job. Because I did more as an aide to Elihu Harris than any one of the council members that are sitting did. Treva got in and basically just started running immediately as she got in, which I think, I don't know if it's against the law, and I like Treva personally, but I'm very disappointed that she would give the look of taking taxpayer dollars that are supposed to be paying her to run her office as council member, and then spending part of that time, a significant part of it, holding herself out to run for mayor immediately. I don't think that to me should not be allowed. That should almost be, to me, a charter change. That's how disgusting I think it is. It's just not the right thing to do. And
I mean, I can't speak to that just because myself, not having been a council member, put my hat in the ring to run for mayor. So it just depends on what you're called to do. I think that each candidate, without regard to their background and experience, are uniquely called to run for whatever reason. And I think that they need to, make peace behind that before they start a campaign. So hopefully, with this particular candidate that you're referencing, that's the case. People like Ignacio, I think he represents the old guard. So I understand why you're supporting him, because you've known him for a long time and you feel like he is going to bring some knowledge to the city and some know-how. So I understand that. With regard to the council, go ahead.
That's not why. The reason.
Oh, okay.
No, I have every reason not to vote for it back at Ignacio. But those reasons are very Oakland. And
it's very Oakland.
Right. In other words, okay, there were times he didn't back me or whatever. But the one constant through the years that I've known Ignacio, this is not the first time I've said it. I've said it before. I said it in my official statement on video, is Ignacio is a person of action. And he does come from a time, an older time, but it was a time specific to when Oakland got things done. And it was a time when, for example, when the Raiders left, we immediately tried to get them back. When we had a number of innovative fiscal systems, we created the sale leaseback that's commonly used throughout the world now. That Oakland did that, and Ignacio was council president when it happened. And we had a not small number of people that believed Oakland should be the number one city in the Bay Area and not San Francisco. Okay. And
that's what I believe too. I believe that too.
And we went so far as I worked with Dick Spees to get Cirque du Soleil away from San Francisco in '96, and we succeeded. And we worked rapid fire to do that. By contrast, today, and it's difficult to say it's old school because the mayor of Oakland, I've known for 32 years, her parents have acted like godparents to me. They called me their godson. And so she too is from that time, but she's not exhibiting the kind of effectiveness that we were known for then that we need now. And there's a specific reason for that, because at the time it was going on, she wasn't in it. Now she was of it because her mom and her were very active in Oakland politics, and in particular, the volunteer Oakland's nonprofit community. They're very, and her mother was the fundraiser for the Oakland Symphony for years. So they have had deep contacts in Oakland. But in terms of having that gravitas to get it done, okay, she didn't pick that up at all. And I say this as a person who, and my mom was there on the May 9th of 2000, May 14th of 2009, when I was at her parents' parent place for dinner, because we always have our dinners on Wednesday. And I told Libby she should run. And I ticketed off the reasons why. I will tell you, I didn't at all anticipate what came out of that. That more people are good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's precisely what happened. Now, by contrast, I never wanted Ignacio to be mayor because for personal reasons that had to do with some initiative I wanted didn't go through. But through that, Ignacio never stopped being a friend.
Mm-hmm.
He never takes anything he does. It's like he is the perfect representation of it's nothing personal, it's just business.
Right.
Like, for example, when the JPA voted to take an action of no action on my request for the JPA to sign a bill so that the league would be able to use grounds for the Super Bowl bid. For the Super Bowl. You know who gave me a ride back to City Hall after that?
Ignacio.
Yeah. And he told me, I'll tell you something, we've had so much bad press. You gave us the only positive press. I like to imitate his voice sometimes. And we have a generation now, this will be blunt, that focuses too much on what side they think a person is on rather than the ability to get something done in government. We have too many activists in government. Monesha, we have activists in government.
I'm good. Can I jump in real quick, Zennie? I'm interested to see who, like, the heavyweights endorse. I know you've endorsed Ignacio, and so that means a lot to me. But I'm talking about the heavyweights who are in politics, like who the mayor will endorse, who Congresswoman Barbara Lee will endorse, if she'll endorse any candidate. I'm interested to see who they will endorse. And I say that because it's important for me to just give you this caveat. I worked for Peggy Moore's campaign for city council at large as a volunteer, and she was running against Rebecca Kaplan.
Yeah.
And the mayor endorsed her campaign. And so since I've seen in action, the mayor endorse a candidate before, I'm wondering if in the race for mayor, the next mayor of Oakland, if she'll make an endorsement, and I'll pay, close attention to who she endorses and why, and then the person who I'm, have just a very high regard for who's in public office is Congresswoman Barbara Lee. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because she stood up against the war in Iraq. Right. That was the turning point for me as her supporter, when she stood up, when no one else stood up, she stood, against it. And so that was powerful. So she's a powerful beacon of light in Oakland. And so if she endorses, for example, Ignacio, I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that she won't take it lightly. Not that you are, Zennie. That's not why I'm saying that. I just know that she's been in politics for a very long time in the seat. And so I just would want to know what direction she's going to go in. So I think I'll follow her lead in that.
I'm not following
that's my statement. I know. But that's just my statement.
Right. I'm not following anybody's lead but my own. And I got 42 years to make of it. I was in the room when Ron Dellums selected Barbara Lee over Elihu to fill his congressional seat. Elihu was devastated. Oakland's a very small town, very small. Barbara knows a lot of my mom's personal friends. Elihu is the godfather to my late stepbrother-in-law, Ralph Grant's son. Oakland is a very small town. And for me, given how messed up Oakland is right now, I can't see anybody wanting the endorsement of the current mayor. And that's not, look, I love my but who runs Oakland impacts not just 500,000 people that live in Oakland, but the millions of people beyond Oakland. And we're at a place now where I'm 3,000 miles away, and yet I'm used to hearing about Oakland on television just because of our sports teams having the name Oakland in them. It's like Oakland has disappeared from the map because on top of that, the A's are not doing well. And you would say, I would say, actually, no, that's free advertisement. Every time a city, and this is actually proven by studies now, every time a city is mentioned as being a host of an event like the Super Bowl or the Olympics, or has a team in its city. Doesn't matter if it's the Baltimore Ravens or the San Diego Chargers, which now is LA Chargers, or you get the idea. These, in the internet age, have become powerful instruments. And at the very time we had 3 sports teams and the ability to develop an extremely powerful economic development engine from it, fueled by the internet, because the internet's always talking about sports and venues and everything else. We let it go without a thought, and on a more criminal basis, as far as I'm concerned, with the idea that, hey, sports has nothing to do with our problems. That's a Jerry Brown thing, okay? And it's a...
remember what I said in my interview, Zennie, that I feel like the problem was a county problem, not a city of Oakland problem?
Yeah, I disagreed. I didn't.
Why? Let's talk about it, because I did an interview with District Attorney Nancy O'Malley. Sat down with her.
Nancy's a long-time friend.
Yeah, and she said that the revenue from the sports teams was going to the county, not just the city, and that there's a board. Huh?
That's wrong. And the last person who would know is a district attorney, and I would counsel everybody out there this. Because I've heard the title doesn't mean they know. The person who knows is the actual person who runs the numbers. The point of having a sports team can't be understood without understanding its impact on a person who's never visited it, who lives in another city, who wants to go to that Raiders game in Oakland because they love the Raiders and they can follow the team on the internet, but they can't be there. So they finally get there. Who does all that benefit? It benefits Oakland. Where do they come into 50% of the time, or actually 75% of the time, if they want to go to a Raiders game when it was in Oakland? Oakland International Airport. So who benefits the international airport? You follow the trail of money to determine who. I'm telling you, folks, particularly young people out there, a person having a title does not buy them knowledge. What buys them knowledge is their ability to how institutions work. Now, if I want to understand how our courts work, I go to Nancy because she lives it. In fact, she's on the show for an interview. Because she was already at the Lake Merritt Breakfast Club when I was there. Another story. But the point I'm making is that the question is, how does a sports team impact the institutions around the city that it's the host? And the infrastructure you have to look at is tourism. And it exposes what you don't have. Because a sports team is there, you have to ask yourself the question, all right, Was it placed in the proper area for people to take advantage of its location? The Coliseum's answer is yes and no. Yes, from a transportation standpoint, but no from a revenue standpoint. And that's why Steve Lowe and the late Bob Leslie, rest in peace, and the late Frank Dobson, rest in peace, in 2009, 2004, came up with the original idea for Coliseum City. Now, if you want to see the origin of Coliseum City, you're at the right place. All you have to do here is Zennie62 on YouTube and type Coliseum City Origins, and you can see the 30-minute video where the original idea for Coliseum City was introduced. Why? Because there was no place for a person to go into a game to spend their money on Coliseum grounds. So these are economic development and urban design and location issues that weren't solved in the case of the Coliseum, but could easily have been. What happened was that Frank Dobson's very good idea that was introduced in the video that you should watch, folks, was basically stolen by now former council member Larry Reed in 2010. And Frank Dobson was so heartbroken over it that he moved to Palm Springs and died of cancer. And that is the truth. Okay? I'm giving you Oakland straight, no chaser. Okay? And what we've done in Oakland is we so heavily politicized sports and so used it for our personal, occasionally petty objectives that we lost sight of the fact that every other city, in particular Las Vegas, realizes that sports is economic development. You're looking at the person still in Oakland's history to have established successfully and ran its only sports commission. We had a list of 224 sports events that we were going to go after for the Coliseum when I got back from my Super Bowl bid work. But Jerry Brown was so upset, I wrote an email saying that he wasn't comfortable with someone African American. Did I get the email? No, but I did. And you know what? If I had to go back and do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have. But I was so upset over that meeting. I could have turned into the Hulk if I were Bruce Banner. Easily. Like that. It would only take me 5 seconds to transform.
Yes.
I was mad. And so, but my point is that everybody said it a bottle job. They were doing a different one. Council member said that I got him further than anyone ever bet that I would. I said I didn't. I didn't bet against me. Bill Claggett, who was the director of economic development, unbeknownst to me, had set aside $80,000 to fund my sports commission. That the executive director of the JPA at the time, Dina McClain, told me, and the city attorney Jane Williams, our last appointed city attorney, told me it was going to take 2 years to get approved by federal government. I did it in 4 months. Okay, 4 months. 4 months. The reason why I have my NFL relationships now is because of all that. So my point is that, and I'll just wrap it up because it's impacted me. But my point is that people in Oakland have used sports that way. We never had, and I tried to build the infrastructure to have economic development. We have a shortage of 5,700 hotel rooms in Oakland that exists to this day. It's only closed by 1,000. We have a shortage of hotel rooms in the Bay Area of 16,000. All right. When I came up with my idea at Mark Davis' behest of the Raiders Stadium, which you can find on Coliseum, just type Coliseum reboot in Google, pops up number 1. It added 1,000 hotel rooms. Pat Cashman, who hired me to work for the city of Oakland in '86, told me that it would never get built. I said, "What are you talking about?" So my point is that, but then he said, a good idea should stand on its own. You don't have to be in a room to present it. But I did because no one else knew it. Or sports sponsorship. So my point is this. Oakland has spent a lot of time in little bitty ways that would make a great book or movie, chasing away what other cities have, and now watching it on television unfold. Even the late Ed Lee, who was my first client, the Human Rights Commission, recognized that he admittedly went after the Warriors because he felt like the Warriors were vulnerable to an aggressive action. Joe Lacob told me on camera that, hey, look, Oakland has challenges. And he said San Francisco is aggressive. That's just right across the bay. So
I would agree that Oakland politics can get sticky. I think that it's an important city in the Bay Area. It's going to always be. Oakland's going to always be this sort of beacon, right? This beacon of light, without regard to its standing in terms of the economy, its standing in terms of education or crime, the hot button issues that we all talk about. But Oakland is. I mean, I hear you. I'm listening, but no one can take that from Oakland. So with me, like the way I feel at this point is I think about other leaders that impact Oakland right now. We may need to look to them, to come back and do something. And that's why I know why. Well, you already told me why you're picking Ignacio, but there are other leaders that represent Oakland, not just the ones that are currently running.
Oh yeah, us, the people.
Yeah.
You have great people who are not politicians who do. But my point is,
well, there are other activists here in Oakland. There are people who lead various departments. That's why one of my things that I wanted to move forward, and I know I'm not here to push any of my ideas, but I think that they need to be brought forward for maybe someone else to embrace. I was going to have listening tours with city officials, department heads, leaders in the business community, small businesses and large corporations, just listening, not me giving my take on the issue, but me listening. And then separately, have the fireside chats with the residents and the community leaders and the nonprofit organizations about how to solve some of the problems that we're facing here today. So between the listening tours and the fireside chats and building coalitions with, our city, surrounding cities, the state of California, and then the current administration, I felt that was a clear solution on how to move forward with, Oakland redeeming itself as the brightest city here in the San Francisco Bay Area, in the Bay Area itself.
Yeah.
And I know that's a lot to chew, and I know you can come back with all your stuff, but I just wanted to get that out because that was important to me. And that wasn't really about.
Yes, those are great ideas. I think, it's unfortunate that things turned out the way that they did. I'm just simply saying that in terms of your original idea of wanting to be a write-in, I would say take that energy and join with somebody else, whoever that is. Because they need it. There's too much of a history in Oakland of people sort of not doing that. And then now the time when they did team up, like when Rebecca Kaplan teamed up with Gene Kwan, when they were running for mayor in 2010 under ranked choice, guess what? Boom. Gene won.
Yeah.
So teaming up is important. Oakland has a lot of egos, and I'm one of the larger ones. So
I'm one of the smaller ones. I'm one of the smaller egos.
I enjoy having a large ego. Anyway, and I highly encourage young Black men to have big egos.
Okay, gotcha.
We need more men out there who are not afraid to be men, because particularly with us, too many people are telling you not to be a man and subordinate. That's another story. Take charge. And because right now people are looking for somebody to take charge. They're looking for leaders. And my mom wanted me to run for mayor. But I can't. But had I simply would have pushed what I've pushed for the last 7 years. I would have written a resolution, which I can do, and I would call for the immediate use of AB 464 in all our business improvement districts to get that money to businesses and people who need it because they've been harmed by the pandemic. It's about getting money to people. Everything else is conversation, but you have a lot of people in Oakland who are really suffering.
I know, and another thing, Zennie, I wanted to get out there that I was going to do, and I had already started it on social media. I talked about what I would do on day one, and that was to ensure that our schools were safe, but I was going to have 100 days of action.
Okay.
So I was going to take an action each day and to improve the city. So, and it was going to be on key issues that are important as a result of my listening toward them during the campaign and the fireside chats. So, someone needs to steal that idea.
There you go. Well, I'm going to close out here because it's 11:34 Eastern.
Yes.
Welcome aboard. I can't wait to see. Thank you again for doing the City Hall interview last Thursday.
Yes, that was fun.
Oh, cool. And congratulations on your son's success.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'll tell him you said it.
And if you want to have him vlog or something like that, you can bring him on too.
No, he doesn't like social media. He's not on social media, which is cool. He stays away from it.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm the social media butterfly in the family.
And folks, that closes out this. Stay tuned next for later in the week. We're going to have a special show having nothing to do with Well, I gave it away. Nothing to do with politics and everything to do with Star Trek. Yeah, can't wait. Anyway,
I'll be tuning in to that, Zennie. I'll tune in.
And hey, welcome aboard again.
Thank you.
And folks, subscribe to Zennie62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com, and that ends this broadcast. Thank you and welcome, Ms. Carter. How's that? Ms. Carter, you got it.